And we are live. Welcome to Wealthy Wednesday. Oh my goodness, I am so fired up this morning. This is something I've been waiting for. But in any case, my name is Leah Garcia, financial strategist and insurance professional. And it is my crusade, my mission, my vision to help you properly protect, distribute, and transfer your wealth so that you can build that legacy and create generational and multi generational wealth. It's not just about the wealth that we accumulate, but what are we going to leave behind? Our stories, not just our money, but our stories, our values, right? Our history. So that's a little bit about me, but it's not about me today. It is about our guest speaker that I am so honored to have her. I mean, I got to tell you, she is a health benefits advocate. She is a published author. She is a speaker. And at the same time, in my mind, she's one of the most courageous people that I know. You know, a lot of people talk about their crusade. A lot of people talk about making a difference and being the change. This woman, to me, is truly the poster child for having the courage to not only speak out, but to do something about it. I've watched her totally transform herself, and I am so honored that she's taken the time to be with us here today. We've been trying to work this out, so it's just beautiful that it worked out today. So, with that, I give you Miss Sandra Washington. Take it away, my love.
Good day, everyone. Whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching it at a later date, because this is recorded, whoever you are, I want to first of all say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day, because no one has to stop to listen, to look, or to learn, but you're here. So that means a great deal to me. And so I appreciate you and I'm grateful for you. As Leah said, my name is Sandra L. Washington. I carry that L wherever I go because everything that I do in life, it all circles and centers on those who are important to me, which is both my paternal and my maternal grandmother's names is Louise. So I can't let them down. There's too much riding on them in order for me to let them down. For me to come behind them, carry their name, and to just like not do a bang up job when it comes to actually making sure that we're doing what we should be doing to not only protect ourselves, but protect our families and protect our loved ones. So when Leah asked me to come on, I told Leah this before. I tell her this all the time. She's always saying, "Thank you, Sandra. I'm so grateful and I'm so proud of you." And I tell her, I'm like, you know what? But it was people like you who, when I was in my despair days, I mean, I was struggling last year. I just come off of being diagnosed with chronic kidney disease. My mom was sick, I was sick, but yet I was like determined not to give up. I've always been the type of person when the doctor gives me an hourglass and gives me a diagnosis, I don't look at the diagnosis and say, "Oh, well, the time is slipping by." I look at the diagnosis and I flip the script so that there's more at the top than there is at the bottom. So I'm going up instead of going down. And that's actually always been throughout my time, throughout the times that I've been sick and I faced health challenges. That was it. But when I met Leah, I was introduced to Leah by Martha Amaya. And let's not forget Martha. She's always doing the most for everyone, but she introduced us to, because she's like, "I got somebody that might be able to help you." And she introduced me to Leah, and thus was the beginning. Once again, this was LinkedIn, right? That brought us together, and we've been together throughout the time as I continue to grow and go. But guess what? So does Leah. So I'm not gonna let her give me all the praise when she's doing wonderful things herself in the financial arena. So that's what we're talking about today. I'm going to go ahead and flip this back to Leah, and I'm going to ask her, let her get started with whatever questions she may have.
Thank you so much, Sandra. And I love that. Because we do talk about flip the script, but I love your visualization of the hourglass, right? Turning
Right.
it upside down. So now we do have more on the top. And I love the way Cassandra Terry always says it, that what we pour into the saucer is for us, and what spills out, what we pour in the cup is for us, and what spills out onto the saucer is for others. And I didn't know any of that when we met. I didn't know any of that was going on. You didn't give, you didn't say, you didn't share. At least you didn't share it with me, right? you were determined. You're like, I'm going to figure this out. You need a little bit of guidance. And you know what? Sometimes we might think that that little bit of guidance is insignificant, but sometimes we just need a little bit of a hand up, maybe not a hand out, just that little bit of a hand up. And then boom, you just skyrocket. I mean, I was like watching you. You did 30 days in a row. I said, "Oh my gosh, look at you go. You inspired me." So that's what I love. It's iron sharpens iron, as one person, one woman sharpens another. So what I would love for you, and actually we have Sir Royce Riles joining us on
Okay.
Facebook. Thank you for joining us. If you have
Thanks,
any
Roy.
questions for Miss Sandra, we would love to hear from you. What I would really love for you to unpack, because this was something that really resonated with me when I first met you, is the story of your family, your nonprofit, and how you formulated all that.
Well, I've been in healthcare for over 30 years.
Yeah.
That's how long I've been in healthcare. It was a passion for me that started when I saw two of my sisters. One of my sisters I lost. She had a rare heart condition. I had to go to the medical director of the insurance company because they kept denying her care. They kept saying, well, there wasn't enough information about it. They were actually looking at Facebook instead of actually looking into their hearts to see, could she get this surgery? Would it help her? And a lot of times, what we all know, fast forward today, well, one, she's African American. Two, she was she was a professional woman. Three, she was going to, unfortunately, she was going to an HMO doctor when she shouldn't have been going to an HMO doctor. I'm not going to say all HMO doctors are bad, but you really need to, when you're going through the HMO system, which is Health Maintenance Organization, for those who do not know, and it requires you to have referrals, you really need to know who your primary gatekeeper is, right? You're paying all this money for premiums. You're socking all this money away, which we're going to get to, because this has a lot to do with today's topic. But you're socking all of this money away for your kids, your grandkids, but you're not one stopping to think, my health. What's going on with my health? And so, unfortunately, for my oldest sister, what occurred was she had a rare heart condition. She was treating with a she was treating with a geriatric doctor. There's a big problem with that. Geriatric doctors are not doctors who treat for heart conditions. He let her go and go and go, and gradually her health got so bad that no other doctor would take her on as a primary care patient, because they knew what was going on. So it makes a difference. Once again, you got money, you spending it. Make sure you're looking at what's going on with your health care, right? She didn't pay attention to that until it was much too late. I actually went and advocated for her. I'm not going to say fought, even though it was a fight. I advocated for her on her behalf. They wound up approving the surgery. After my last appeal, they approved her surgery. She died on the operating table. So that's a story that sticks with me, because there's so much wrong with that story that could have been right. Now, would she have passed away eventually? Who's to say? Because this was like, maybe I want to say 15 years ago. And so everything in healthcare technology wise has improved. So who's to say that she would or she wouldn't have? But because they delayed her care, she wound up passing away. Like I said, she died on the operating table. And as a Black woman, going in the neighborhoods, seeing what was going on, going to school for all of this, that actually impacted me so much. I was already doing advocacy work, but it just really impacted me. Then I had another sister who also passed away. Once again, went to the doctor. They didn't tell her she had cancer. They told her she was going through menopause, is what they told her. She wound up with breast cancer, which spread to her ovaries. I lost another sister in that same sense. So that just continued to dig inside of me. And so often I talk to people, see people who need help, just don't know where to go to get the help in our community of Black and brown women and people, period. And so I'm like, you know what, enough of this talking. Let's start getting some sustainability built in. So I started the big umbrella is MediHelps LLC. And then under MediHelps LLC, we have the Chom's MediHelps Foundation. What that allows me to do is it allows me to work with those people those patients and patient families who can afford to pay the prices that we charge. It also allows me to give back to the community by, instead of turning people away and saying, oh, you can't afford my prices, let me go away, or you go away, it actually allows me to help them the same way as I'm helping everyone else.
Man, that is so profound, so deep. And that's really your ability to share that story will help one person. However, with that being said, I know that you're helping many, many people by spreading this information that's so critical and vital. I've been in the health insurance industry almost 20 years, or the insurance industry almost 20 years. And I really started in the medical insurance industry. And I learned really quickly the difference between an HMO and a PPO. I would have families call me crying because they were in an HMO and they didn't understand the difference. And just like you shared, Sandra, not all HMOs are, questionable, let's say that, but
Right.
You just want to understand the difference. And that's why in my Wall of Wealth, which is my one-page financial plan, my first layer starts with health insurance. Then we go to life insurance and disability. That's the first layer. That's a foundation. If you don't have the right health insurance, something goes sideways, forget about your 401k, forget about that savings, forget about tax-free. You ain't going nowhere because you're probably not going to be around if you can afford the financial devastation. And even to this day, even with all this current legislation and the Affordable Care Act and all this healthcare reform, the number one cause of financial devastation is due to medical bills. And that just shouldn't be. So, I think that's really our core connection, although we've got many, but that's really, when you talk about it, I get it because I'm there in the field and I've seen it, I've witnessed it.
You know what, Leah? Every one of us, I'm not going to say every one of us, a majority of us have also seen it. There's two reasons why we've also seen it. One, when COVID happened, it happened unexpectedly, right? That wasn't the last pandemic. It wasn't the first. It's not the last that we're going to see, right? But people were so used to spending and not saving or not planning to save, right? That what occurred was when it happened, and they were sick and they had all these medical bills to pay. Well, guess what? Where's your wealth at? Where's your wealth at? And this simply means sitting down, taking some time to sit at the table and, consider, when you're considering financial planning, put that healthcare piece in there. Put it in there for a rainy day. Do some work, look and see, okay, well, what's the most expensive health plan I could get? What's the least expensive? What's in the middle? So that way, when you sit down with a financial planner, an advisor, you're able to say, okay, well, this is what I'm dealing with, but now here's the healthcare piece. Because like you said, Leah, if you don't do it now, what will happen is you will wind up doing it in the end. Here goes all of your wealth, all of everything that you have is gone because you failed to plan correctly. And so when you're looking for a financial planner, and you're looking for someone to help you with planning, your future, right? You want to look for someone that's actually going to tell you about all the fields that you need to. You don't want a half field. You don't want someone that's going to tell you about life insurance, long-term care insurance, all these other insurances, and skip over health insurance, because in the end, when you look at it, it all boils down to your financial wealth, all boils down to what have you put away, consider putting away for your healthcare expenses. And sadly, Leah, what has happened is that now we got these new laws, right? And they're talking about, well, you can't balance bill, you can't do this, you can't do that. Believe it or not, everyone that's listening to this, please listen. The doctors are going to get their money one way or up. With or without a law, they are going to get their money one way or the other, and they deserve it. I mean, they took care of you and they treated you and gave you the best care, or you, they deserve to be paid. They're going to be paid. Make no mistakes about it. They're going to be paid. You'll see things that are start to come out on how they're going to get paid. You know, recently, I believe it was yesterday, one of my board certified patient advocates, Nancy Keller, had I had an article out on LinkedIn that talked about the fact that premiums will go up. Well, that's not the only thing that's going to go up, right? But when you're looking at, that's why I said to you today when you was like happy wealthy Wednesday. I was like, no, happy healthy and wealthy Wednesday. The two go hand in hand, right? You can't have one without having the other. A true financial planner is going to sit down with you, and if they haven't and you have one, my suggestion is you go to them and you say, let's take a look at my financial plan to ensure that we have money set aside for my healthcare expenses, because you're going to, God forbid you lose everything because you were socked with an unexpected emergency. We have another pandemic, you wasn't ready. Yeah, but let's be real about it and sit down and look at your financial plan to ensure that you do have a piece in reference to healthcare that's embedded into that plan.
Woohoo! We are picking up what you're putting down. We are smelling what you're cooking, Miss Sandra. This is a gloves off conversation. And some of what we're saying may you may not understand some of the terminology. So I kind of want to rewind a little bit about that. So in the insurance industry, I've been in this industry before the Affordable Care Act. And the insurance companies could decline you. They could rate you up. They could, if you had pre-existing conditions, they didn't. If you wanted pregnancy cover, they could charge you more. And so, in order to override that, we have this now Affordable Care Act. So now there's no decline for pre-existing conditions. Everybody gets coverage for pregnancy, and all the preventative there is included for free. And in a lot of ways that can be really good. However, what's happened is I've seen rates skyrocket. I just helped a family of 4. And believe me, I have other options, but they wanted the premier plan. And you know what? They've got some health issues. They've got some health challenges. It was almost $4,000 a month. Now they have the resources to be able to do that, but not everyone does. And so what you're saying is that even if we pass laws where they can't balance bill, they can't back bill you, doctors and insurance companies are going to find a way to get their money. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bottom line. They're going to find their way. Nobody does work. I mean, we live in an economic society. America is based on money. It's not based on human empathy. It's based on money, right? With it being based on capital, as a business, what business do you know that's going to do work and not get paid for it? Please tell me. I mean, please tell me who's going to do it, right? And so, like you were saying, in reference to the family of 4, they have the money now to do that now. But what happens if one of the parents, what happens if they pass away? What happens then? There's going to be bills that have to be paid out of that money. So and I come across that a lot, and I'm not a financial planner, but I come across that a lot where people will say, well, I got the money, I could do this and I could do that. But money is not a guarantee in this life. Money is not a guarantee in this life. So unless you have like an airtight, tight plan, you still face the challenges that, one or more people could be gone. And if one or more people are gone, what are you going to do then? I mean, you're not going to be able to, sometimes you can't afford those things that you once afforded when you were working and life was good. And like I said, Leah, just look at our last pandemic. The white people that have money are like now going to get SNAP, going to get food stamps. I mean, they're going to get all of this help that they need because when they were able to, they didn't plan correctly.
Absolutely. And, not to toot my own horn, because I really don't want you to think it's that, but really the wall of wealth will help you to determine and expose those booby traps. Because just like you alluded to, they have the money now, but they need that life insurance in place in case one of the family's members pass away. They need to have other layers of protection in place, because one of three things is going to happen. We're going to live too long, die too soon, or get sick. That's it. So if you don't have a plan in case you live too long, you don't have long-term care, you don't have a private pension, you don't have a living trust and all those things, die too soon, you don't have the proper life insurance, especially for young families. And we can talk about permanent and term, but this is my summary. People ask me, what's the best? The best plan is the one that's in place when you need it the most, okay?
Exactly.
You don't get sick. It's not just having the health insurance. You check the box at work, and then you just think, I have a zero copay for my annual checkup. Really ask the questions. What happens? What's my maximum out of pocket? What happens if I go to an emergency room? What if I'm out of state? What if I'm out of the country? How is this plan going to work if you're somebody who travels? Like, really ask those questions, and then take that information, just like you alluded to your financial professional. And if you don't have a professional that's looking holistically, proactively, then you probably need to get somebody who's going to do that, because that is really a booby trap. And I see it over and over and over again. And it's ad nauseum. That's why I love what you do. I love your advocacy. You're out there. And one time I remember I asked you, I said, oh my gosh, Sandra, you were doing 30 days straight. And you're like, yeah, and then I'm going to do another 30 days. And I'm like, man, you're just like, how are you doing it? She's like, Leah, I have to.
It's a requirement of me. I mean, we're giving gifts. I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God, right? And I believe that I was given these gifts to use these gifts. I wasn't given these gifts to sit back on my laurels and say, well, hey, I got all the information. Y'all want it, come pay me, right? Come do this, or come. That's a requirement of me. It's actually a requirement of all of us that have gifts that God has blessed us, whatever spiritual deity you believe in, that it's given you, to use it, not to sit on it and watch people suffer. Like, where does humanity fit into any of that? Watching people suffer. What gives you the right to get a gift and refuse to give it out, pass it out, help others? It's just not in my makeup.
Yeah, that's so good. And, a lot of times when I see people, when they have a gift, they almost feel apologetic about it. Like, well, this comes easy to me, so it probably comes easy to everyone else. But your gift is truly your gift. And although it may come easy to you, it may be a complete blind spot to me. Right? That's something that
Right.
I can figure out. So that's why collaborations are so critical. I think I've heard it said that your net worth is your network. And I'm really starting to understand that it's not about you're doing business with me or I'm doing business with you. It's really about us bringing our collaborations together, bringing our gifts, masterminding. And with the collective, it's almost like we're refining each other. It's
Right.
that iron sharpens iron. And I know,
Right. And that's what we should be doing. We should be collaborating. What you just brought up, and I didn't mean to cut you off. What you just brought up is a really good point in that. I did a show, an event last week, a live event last week with Mr. Jeff Morris from Dream. He is founded Dream Smart, right? And he talked a lot about the health and the wealth balance, right? And as I looked at it then, and I still look at it now as me and you talk, what I see is that we all have gifts, right? But how can those gifts come out if we don't know what our gifts are? So Dream Smart, that's what they do. They help you to see what your gifts are so that you can actually build upon those gifts. And it's good to start it when it's a kid, because you're learning, this is what the path I want to go on. But as adults, now that we've been in the workforce 20, 30 years or more, we've been in the workforce, we still have a gift inside of us. What is that gift that we could still use? Each of us have a gift, and each of us, if we use our gifts that we have that's attuned to us and we're attuned to it, it builds out that financial piece, right? Because you're gonna want to keep working because you're making, you're bringing in the finances, right? And you're doing something that you love doing. So it's helpful to you, sit with you, and I'm gonna toot your horn for you. You are awesome as a financial strategist, as a financial planner. You're awesome because you get it. You get. I told Jeff the same thing last week. I'm like, I get you, and I see where you're at, and I see what you're doing because you know the importance of health and wealth being tied together. There are a lot of financial planners that don't know that. You know the health. You know the importance of collaborating with financial and health experts to bring it together so that those people that you serve, you could say, not only can you say, I'm not about talking, I love talking, but I'm not about talking, I'm all about action. But you and what you do in your role in putting the health and the wellness together, Leah, what you're actually able to do is move your conversation from, okay, well, here's the talk, right? Here's the talk, but here's how we're going to walk and put this in action, right? Because you get the picture, you know the linkage between the two. Many financial advisors or strategists, planners don't know the difference, right? But because we're telling people the difference, they now know what I heard this and I need to go check on, I need to go ask, right? You and I both, we can give the horse the water, we can help them drink it, but we can't drink it for them. Right? I mean, we could, but I refuse to. Right?
Yeah, so good. And I think a lot of people in my industry just really want to focus on, and and I get it. We're all trying to feed ourselves and take care of our families, but some of these things that I help families with are not lucrative. It doesn't pay a lot of money to help someone with their health insurance. In fact, it per hour it's very minimum because it takes a lot of time. You got to do the research, you got to really help them to look at their doctors, their medications, like all of that. But I understand that it's not just about the dollar in the pocket today. When I help that client long term, listen, I think about this when it might sound corny, but this is the absolute truth. My beautiful, precious grandson is 5 years old. I call him high five. We do high fives all the time. And one day he's going to take over my business. And one day, this is my legacy, that families that I've helped, or maybe their children or grandchildren, are going to look across the kitchen table or look across the Zoom and they're going to say, do you know why our family's in this great of a position? It's because of what your grandmother did for us. And it's helping families to mitigate and eliminate those booby traps. Because I know the information. I can't assume that they know the information. I've been studying this for years and years. This is all I do. And so it really, and you shared it earlier, Sandra, you're right. It is our moral responsibility. I was gifted this information. I was gifted this ability to love to study and research, right? And that because not everybody would do this, right? You could wake me up in the middle of the night and say, you want to study? I'm like, yes, I'm there. I really am a nerd. But now that I have this knowledge, it doesn't do anyone any service. In fact, it's almost a violation if we just keep it to ourselves and give it to a select few. That's why our voice needs to be heard. And that's why I love what you're doing. You're getting out there, even when you didn't have it all figured out. We're trying to figure out this Zoom and StreamYard and how do we do all these things in backgrounds, but you were doing it. And that's why it's like, Cassandra Terry, I know I talk about her a lot, but she is our mindset queen. She says, you got to do it scared. You got to do it with wobbly legs. You got to do it even if your voice trembles. And you did it. I watched you. And you know what? I flubbed it up. You flubbed it up. And sometimes we're on the phone like, hey, do you know how this works? How does this work? But we were still doing it. We were being courageous. So I want to ask you this. And we're going to get back to the health for sure. But I just really want to know, where does that courage come from? Where does that come from, Sandra?
It comes from my grandmother. It comes from both my grandmother, So let's take this. My maternal grandmother, we lived in New Jersey at the time. I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm a New Jersey girl. I grew up in New Jersey. She at the time, and this was in the 60s, she wanted to build a house. Well, she had a 10-bedroom home, but she
Wow.
brought the 10-bedroom home because what she wanted to do was she wanted to give people that were homeless and had no place to go. She wanted them to have some place to go, some place to come call home. The city fought her against it, so she wasn't able to open up the home that she wanted. So it became the family home. Like everybody didn't live there, but that's where we all congregated from. And just knowing her background and knowing that here she was a single mother. She had, I think that was my mother, and she had 4 or 5 girls and 2 sons, right? So she had a big family on her own. She's trying to do something to help the community, and she got turned away, not by, by the city, by the government powers that be, said, no, we don't want this here. And so she couldn't do it. My paternal grandmother, she actually is from the Caribbean. When stories that I've heard of her when she came over here and to the States, I'm gonna say over here, but when she came to live in the United States, I think they said she had maybe $20 or $25 in her pocket. She came and she did what she needed to do to raise her family, even though, with her being from the Caribbean and my granddad not being a United States citizen, well, she was still, but being a United States citizen, the struggles that she had to go to maintain her own sanity, to raise her family in the way that she wanted to raise her family at, both of them. When I look at their story and I look at their struggle, like I said earlier, Leah, I have to ask myself, how dare I have information, have a gift that God has blessed me with, and to sit here and not do anything with it, like not give it to people. I'm not gonna say give it to me because my husband has a problem with that, with me giving away stuff for free. Because he's like, what, some people just use you and they don't want to pay you for your services, and you need to get paid because you're running a business. You need to get paid for it. So we had that conversation, but the strength and the courage I have comes from both my grandmothers, and it also comes from the fact that I'm a very spiritual person. I believe that I'm here for a reason, and so I believe that I have to keep going, and I have to show others that don't give up. Don't you ever give up. Like, find a way, and it'll happen.
I love that. That is so beautiful. So let me ask you, was it I mean, I can't imagine, this was years ago. Your grandmother built a home for the homeless. Like, that's amazing. Was it a conversation around the kitchen table, or was it just something that she just did?
You know what? That I'm not sure of. That I'm not aware of whether she had a conversation or, she talked to her sister, because they had houses next door to each other. And when she talked to her sister and said, this is what I want to do. But I know that that's what she brought that home for, was so that she could actually have a place where the less fortunate would have some place to go instead.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I absolutely love that. And I can see that. I mean, I got chills when you're telling that story. So you're so right. I think that sometimes we allow society, we allow our own voices, our negation in our own head. We allow what we think people might say or might feel to keep our voices down. We're afraid of turning people off, or, maybe saying the wrong thing. And it's not that we're trying to upset anyone, but you're right. We gotta use our voice. What we know, the knowledge we have, we got to share it, and we got to share it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm often told that, when you say something one time, people don't hear it. But if you repeatedly say it like 6 or 7 times, then they'll get it and they'll say, oh, okay, I know exactly what she's talking about. I know how to do, and so they get it. So you have to keep, saying things. And some people have told me, and I'll take credit for this. This I get from my dear mom, may she rest in peace. This I get from my mother. Sometimes I say stuff, and it's not that I'm meant to say it. I'm not trying to be critically harsh on people. And sometimes maybe it comes out the wrong way. But those that know me, really know me, know that Sandra will go to bat for me. Sandra will do what she got to do for me. Yes, sometimes she might say something and it might be like off the chain, But in reality, the Sandra that everybody in my circle of life knows, and those who are in around my circle of life knows, I'll go to bat for you. I want to see you succeed. I'll do whatever I have to do to see you succeed, because my motto has always been each one, teach one, reach one. Don't just stop at, reaching, teaching one. What good is it if you teaching one and they ain't doing nothing with what you teaching them, right? Encourage them. Look, I'm gonna help you, but I'm on, and I tell everybody this, I'm gonna help you. But if I know, or if I hear that somebody else went to you and asked for some help, and you told them you ain't got time for them, don't ever come back and ask me for help. Do not do it, because my answer is going to be no, and I'm going to mean no. Because if I took the time to teach you, pass it along. Like, really, like, pass it along. So, but those that know me sometimes say, "What she say? Why she say it like that?" I'm not getting smart. I'm just telling the truth. I mean, sometimes it might come out like that, but I'll go to bat for you. If you're in my, if you're a part of my world, I will go to bat for you.
Yeah, I think everyone needs a Sandra L. Washington in their life. Listen, we can all, our ego is not our amigo. And sometimes we need the people in our lives that have the courage to tell us no, or have the courage to say, hey, you're getting a little, getting a little too
Right.
out there now. Maybe you should check yourself on this. So we need that, because sometimes we just want, again, we're too worried about people, what they think. We don't want to upset people. I truly believe that as we come together from different backgrounds, different demographics, different geographics, different beliefs, listen, we can all help each other even with that. I don't have to have the same exact background as you do, speak the same language, live in
Right.
the same area. In fact, I would say I seek out people that are different from me, because I want to constantly be learning. I don't want to get so much in this little plastic bubble where I just think life is rainbows and butterflies. I want to see different aspects. I mean, I live here by the beach. I mean, it's just glorious. I'm grateful every single day. However, I understand that not everybody is in that situation, and I want to know their story. And for me, that's where we can really come together and make a change, looking how we're similar and not being so focused on the things that we don't have in common.
Yeah, it's called cultural humility. That's what it is. It's called cultural humility, and all of us should have a piece of that cultural humility, because in having that piece of cultural humility, what we do know and what we do understand is that lifelong learning, it
Yeah,
takes us through so many challenges and so many ups and downs. But guess what? While we're doing that, we're learning, and we should all be striving to be lifelong learners. When you get to a point in your life where you're like, okay, well, I don't want to learn no more, then what's your use here on earth? Like,
that's
why
right.
are you here? Right? So you should, each and every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, what can I learn today? What can I do today to keep on that positive tip? What can I give, or what can I receive that will keep me being positive? So I strive to center myself around those people who are positive. If you're negative, or you're a negative thinker, I tend to stay away from you, because I don't need that. That's just me. I mean, that's just me. And I don't need it. And when you look at it, you don't need it either. Like, nobody needs to be negative. There's too much that we have going that we don't, we shouldn't be negative. And if we're like lost and we're looking for something, what we should be doing is, once again, be in a career. Find your career. What is your career? What is it that you do that you love doing? If you getting up every morning at 8 o'clock, 7 or 6 o'clock, trying to get ready to go to work where you don't like being there, if that's not you, find your you. Dream, make your dream a reality. Find your you and do your you.
I love that. Don't get lost in the sauce like a
Right.
meatball. you know, um, One of the reasons why I do this Wealthy Wednesday, I started this in January and I've done it every single week. And I didn't even know who my speakers were going to be. I had a few people, you were on that short list, but it didn't work out for us. But I didn't know who were going to be the speakers afterwards. And so, really, what I did was, people think I'm coming here Well, I don't know why people think I'm coming here, but I'm going to tell you why I really do. I pick people that I believe I can learn from. I come here as a speaker, but I'm really here as a student because I think the speaker learns the most. And so I love to have people that can help educate me, that can help to open my mind to a blind spot. I'm here taking notes, and it's not for show. That these are real notes. Okay, I
Right.
go back to them and I read them, and I'm going to look up Jeff Morris. And so I love what you said. What I would love for you to share a little bit about, and we've talked about this a little bit offline, is I know you've got some incredible books coming out. I want people to know about what you've got on the horizon. I mean, you said that you've got 4 books dropping this month. Here it is, July 2024. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually 3 because one is actually already on the market. One has actually been on the market for 2 years. It's a personal health planner and journal. The importance of the personal health planner and journal is that not only is it a space for you to put your own personal information, but it's also a space for you to put your family information. If you're in the healthcare field, even if you're not in the healthcare field, you're just, you're in whatever field you're in, right? You need to know what your family health history is. Has been a rise in the increase of disease conditions that are coming, that are being spoken about, talked about, and they're genetically based. They're a genetic disposition to those you need to know. So there's a space in the journal where you actually also have the opportunity to write what health conditions did your father have, your mother have. Maybe you're adopted, right? Even with you being adopted, look at your cultural history as your family history, because your cultural history a lot of times will tell you what's in your culture, what health diseases are in your culture. You can then start to say, okay, well, let me look at the signs and symptoms when you're not feeling well. Well, maybe when I go to the doctor, I can ask him or her, about this condition, and could it be tied to this? But you need to know your health condition. I say all the time, when I was growing up, we went to my nanny's house. That's where everybody in the family went to nanny's house, cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever, right? But we kids dare not go into the adult room, right? What they were talking about, the information they were talking about, at the time, cancer was a scourge. Cancer was looked at as an STD. I mean, on the same level. So that was a scourge. Years later, we started losing people from breast cancer, from different kinds of cancers. We could have actually known that information to be proactive about it. So for those of us that don't, I don't have any grandkids just yet. But for those of us that have grandkids, right, or have younger nieces and nephews, godchildren, whatever, right, you want to make sure that they know what happened before them, so that when they go to the doctor's office, when they get a little older, they're more in tune to have the information on them so that they can release it. So that personal health planner and journal has actually been out for 2 years. It could be purchased off of our website, which is www.medihelps.com. MediHelps is MEDIHELPZ.com is where it can be purchased from. It can also be purchased from Amazon. I ask for people that are going to purchase any of the books that I'm mentioning to actually either go to our website or call or send me a DM and say, Sandra, I would love to get that book. And the reason why is because we've actually decided to actually do MediHelps LLC. The MediHelps brand right now, we have a for-profit, not-for-profit. I'm looking at seriously making it a social enterprise. That way we can get the business that we're doing, the money and the money that we make will go into the nonprofit. It does that already, but legally speaking, to go into the nonprofit, because guess what, Leah? We'll write grants. We won't get them. So I'm like, okay, well, y'all said no, but then I got another way around to get what I need to get, right? So I'll do my businesses and I'll actually get that to be able to feed into that. So the other book that we just recently did is called, I don't know if you can see this or not. I don't think you can see it, but I'll tell you what it is. It's called Colorful Careers in Healthcare. It is a coloring book that I actually came up with. It actually is AI generated pictures of all different types of healthcare careers that African Americans are in. So, doctors, nurses, neuroscientists, it has a whole bunch of other opportunities. One for the kids, so that as they're going to school and they're thinking about, okay, well, you know what can I be when I grow up? They're introduced to healthcare careers, right? So they have healthcare careers. The other one for adults, like, hey, maybe you're just bored, right? And you just want to spend some time just doing something. You'll actually be able to draw. And these are high quality pictures because we use Ruby AI. Once again, Ruby AI was a healthcare system. It was the AI system we used, and we actually did it using the DALL-E 3. So DALL-E was what is it either dash E or 3 was what we used to actually come up with the book. The book right now is actually on Amazon. It's not on our website, but once again, if you want to, you buy it. You can, or even look at it. You can go to Amazon and look at it. It's called, once again, Colorful Careers in Healthcare, a coloring book for all ages. So that's out there. That is our fundraiser. And then we actually also did a word search book. Now, the word search book, it's 101 puzzles. And actually, it covers everything in healthcare. So it covers your prefixes, it covers your suffixes, it covers your DEI, it covers your health injustices. It's 101 topics, which we're actually going to start using as a health literacy. We're going to start doing some health literacy classes, and we'll actually use this as our guidebook. Why? Because all students learn differently. But this way, with them learning it, they have something that they can use to go by. So the health test your medical and healthcare knowledge word search. Once again, it's 101 puzzles. That's actually out on Amazon, and that one might be out on Amazon and our website. So those are the 3 books that are currently out there. And then I just dropped, I have to say this, I was just in an anthology with 31 other dynamic women. The part that I wrote on covers the incest that I went through when I was growing up. It's a recommended reading, especially my section on the incest. It's called Women of the Waiting Room, and it's a devotional, especially if you are or have or work with young girls. I kept it a secret for so long of my life that it ate up a lot of my life. I ran and ran and ran until I couldn't run no more, and God introduced me to my husband, who said, let's start unpacking. Let's start looking. Let's start talking. Get yourself to a point where you're no longer running. It wasn't your fault. What happened? Let's unpack this, right? So I waited. I waited and I waited and I waited, and it ate me up and ate me up and ate me up until it wasn't allowed to. I was like, enough. Enough. I can't move forward if I'm always looking behind me and I'm always worried about what will people say. So I took the time and I sat down. I was graciously accepted from Jacqueline Cox a role in a book in order to actually put my story out on paper. But once again, for anybody that has a little girl and knows a little girl, get this book and make it a recommended. You don't make it a recommended reading. Get this book and sit down with those children. Sit down with those little girls. Tell those little girls, and heck, even the little boys. But I can only speak from the little girl side because I was a little girl. But sit down with them and have that conversation with them and let them know that, when these things happen, talk about it. My mom died in December this past December. I didn't even tell her until I was in my 40s. And she didn't know. And her response to me when I told her was, why did you hold this so long? So this gave me an opportunity. This anthology piece that I wrote gave me an opportunity to unfurl what was going on in my mind and what I grew up with. So it's definitely something that, you need to take, mentally speaking. you need to take and read and then reread or give it to a little girl and just pass it on so that they get help. So those, and then finally, I know you like, Sandra, how you doing all this?
I know. I love it. I love it. You're raising the bar high. I got to get going. I got to put my speakers on to catch up with you. Let's hear it.
And then finally, I'm back to, I wrote a book about, I want to say it had to be about 4 years ago, maybe longer than that, right when I was dealing with COVID and I was coming out of the COVID situation. The book, when it first was released, there was this, it really wasn't, it shouldn't have been released, but it was released. I actually have to go back. I actually am going back and finishing that book, finishing the rewrite for that book, to get that book up. But yeah, so I've been busy. But Ruby, my BFF Ruby,
Right. I mean,
was able to help me, because even with the word search, with 101 topics, right? I could think of 100. I couldn't think. I thought of like 90. But I was like, let me just put this in here in this chat, in the Ruby chat, and see what it is that she gives me back. I'm 101 words for a word search book dealing with healthcare. And within less than 5 minutes, I had 101. I had more than 101 because I actually put in there 150 just so that I could look and choose and see which ones I wanted. And yeah. 5 minutes later, I was like, okay, I got the titles. Now I just need to go and find the words that I want to put in here. So that was the easy part.
Wow. That's what I can say. Wow. You are just blossoming. I mean, truly, Sandra, you are in your mode. You've got your momentum. Like God is on your side. You are doing what you are supposed to be doing. Like, look, and see, you probably look back at it and you go, wow, did I do all that? Because it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, it does. And there we go. We talked about that. That there's that dream and there's that passion and there's this, let me let this, see how I can figure this out to make this work. But then again, there goes that challenge that I was faced. Do I keep saying, okay, well, let me keep applying for these grants and let them keep coming back and saying, no, well, sorry, you didn't get it this time? Or do I find a way to critique my own business, right? To make money. I mean, this is passive income, to make money, right? To grow my business so that not only am I helped, but all the people that I'm trying to help are getting helped as well. So I don't have to keep turning them away and saying, well, yeah, no, it's not in the budget, because I'm actually able to continue working like this. So the Chimes MediHelps library is growing, but I had to, because I had to think of a way, instead of saying, oh, they said no again, daggone it, I have to think of a way that financially I could say, okay, well, let's get this where this needs to be, right? So.
See, that's so powerful, because so oftentimes when people say, oh, I've hit a wall, they said, no, I got declined. I didn't get the job. I did get the promotion. They just kind of recoil. But see, a champion always finds a way. We go over, we go around, we dig a tunnel, we get other people, we figure it out. Because my mentor taught me there's always a way. And that's what I adore about you, Sandra, is that you're courageous champion. You just do it. And even when you're not sure, you do it anyway.
Well, we have to. We're figuring it out. I mean, I'm still figuring it out. I was on a 5-year plan. Let me do this I put it on a 5-year plan. And when I look at, there are days that I look at and I'm like, I'm falling short. But then I have to remind myself that you did a 5-year plan. You didn't do a 1-year plan. You well on the way to where you should be at, because you put yourself on a 5-year plan.
There you go. I love it. I love it. And you're condensing your time frames, by the way. You don't know it, but see, what happens is when you create that momentum, you create compound pounding. Right. And that's why you're going to have exponential growth. I've already seen that just in this past 6 months, just in 2024. I've watched that exponential, but it's going to get faster and quicker, just like that. And things are going to start happening that you didn't even apply for. That's my intention. That's what I'm speaking out. That's what we're manifesting for you. Now, we only have about 6 minutes, and I really, really want to make sure that they hear what's in your vision for the next 3, 4, 5 years? I mean, you've done all this and just, just since I've known you about a year, I don't even think it's been a year. Where are we going to find you and your nonprofit? Let's say what is that 5-year vision?
You know what? I recently started a class. It's called the Patients Professors Academy, something that I got off of, something that I found off of LinkedIn. Someone, Tennille Carter, she doesn't even know me, but she put it out there one day that they were accepting enrollees, applicants. And I took a look at this class and I was like, I really want to do this. It goes through the University of Maryland. That's like, and it's a research class. I'm a researcher at heart. My happiest points are when I can do research. When someone says, Sandra, we need you to find out XYZ, that's you just reached my goal point, right? Because that's what I'm happy doing, is doing research and finding out information, because there's too many falsehoods going around. Well, there's a number of programs that I would like to actually do in the public health arena. I'm just really like struggling with, okay, well, how do I get this done? So this particular program, we start July 15th and it ends, I think, the middle of August. I think it's August 12th or 13th. But in any way, it's a research. And I would love to actually be able to take what I learned in that research course and actually move it towards the public health arena, to doing, to keeping up with what CHOMS is doing, to leaving a legacy in my community, the community I live in. We're fortunate that we're actually able to afford and do things, but there are so many around us that are struggling when they don't have to struggle, which is actually, so my goal is to actually take and put that into a comprehensive program that'll live long after I'm, should something happen to me, long after I'm gone, it'll live. It's not about, making a goal right now for me. Right now, it's more important for me to leave a legacy, not a legacy for just, to be blown off, but a legacy that will continue to live on after I'm gone. So right now, I'm in that particular course. I'm working on that. So that will be what I'm looking for within the next 3 to 5 years is, how do I incorporate what I learned in that class with CHOMS to actually grow it out some more.
Wow, that's so good. I love that. And it really is stepping into your gifts and just receiving it and allow that to sharpen you. It's
Right.
almost like a lot of times people say, well, money isn't everything, and that's true. But you know what? I heard it said that have the goal to become a millionaire, not for the money, but because of the person you have to become in order to achieve that. And that's
Right.
really what you're doing. You're refining yourself and chasing your greatest version, which, by the way, it's never a finish line, right?
Right. No, I mean, it's not for anybody. I mean, for anybody, once again, when we're perfect, when we reach the level of perfect, we don't need to be here any longer. Our goal in life has been completed. What we doing sitting around here? And no, I do not want to be no, I don't want to be reinvented. Don't bring me back to life. When I'm gone, I'm gone.
There you go.
Serve my time.
Well, this was amazing. This hour just flew by. We could talk for another hour easily. So much value. You've got so many things that you're doing, but you know what? You're doing it well. Sometimes people do a lot of different things and it's putting them in different spaces. You're keeping it moving in the same vibration. And that's the difference. Yeah, you're writing books, but it's all coming together to the same path. In my mind, that's how it resonates with me.
Right, and that's the same thing with me. I'm not, while I'm doing it, it's all it's all in healthcare. I'm not doing healthcare and this and that. I let everybody else do their part. My part is healthcare. My part is community building. That's what I do. Everybody else around me, I'll call on them when I'm doing different events and different shows, and I ask them to come on and speak their piece, because that's the CME for the SME for that. But at the end of the day, everything that I'm doing is surrounding that one central focus, which is healthcare.
That's perfect. Now, what's the best way for people to reach you?
I can be reached in a couple of ways. You can send me an email. My email is Sandra at Chalmers Foundation. So it's CHLMS Foundation .com. That's my email. Our website is www.medihelps, and Medihelps is MEDIHELPZ.com. They can reach me that way. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm also on Facebook. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook under Sandy RW. And so those are the ways that people can actually reach me.
Absolutely. And I really do hope people are going to reach you. They're going to support your crusade, your mission, and probably ask you to be a guest speaker on your show, probably. Who knows? And I'd love to get some brands for you going too. So that's it for this Wealthy Wednesday. Boy, today was a lot of great information, great wisdom and mic drops. And I told you she's courageous, and you just shared it just by being you. You know, you're not doing anything to try to impress anyone. You're just doing what's in your heart. And that's truly, it's a gift because not everybody's willing to do that. So I appreciate you, Sandra. Thank you for spending this time.
I appreciate you too, and I want you to keep up the great work. You always say, Sandra, you're doing such a good job. And I always tell you, we're doing such a good job. It's not about the I, it's about the we. We move the world forward. Sandra doesn't do it on her own. We do. So continue with your great work that you're doing.
You're right. You always say that to me. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I love that. So by the way, I would love to share my Wall of Wealth with you. You can download my free one-page financial plan, The Wall of Wealth. It's on my profile on LinkedIn, and you can reach out to me at The Wall of Wealth on YouTube, kind of everywhere. My best social media is obviously LinkedIn, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. And we will see you all at the top because we know it's way too crowded at the bottom. Thank you, everyone.